Lovely. Do take a seat for me, please. Okay, so from the lovely story that we saw is from John chapter 4, verses 1 to 42, which is about the woman at the well. So what I'd like you to do is think about someone in your immediate family. Got them? Thought about them? Yes? Got them there locked in? Okay. What I'd like you to do, this is a bit where you get to participate as well, is I would like you to put your hand up if you know this person that you're thinking of really well. So there's literally next to nothing that you don't know about this person. So you know a lot about this person. So put your hands up. It's the person you're thinking about. Do you know this person really, really well? Oh, okay. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Put your hands up if you know this person well. So you know things about them, but equally there is stuff about them that you don't know. And it's probably about a balance. So you know them well. Put your hands up if you're the person you're thinking of. Okay. And then put your hands up if you probably don't actually know much about this person in comparison to what you do know about them. Okay, good. So you all know this person. Okay, that's good, hopefully, because they're your family. Right, so what I'd like you to do is now think of a really good friend. You thought of them? Got them locked in your head? Okay. And same question. So put your hands up if you know this person very well. So there's literally nothing you don't know about this person. Okay, a few people. Put your hands up if you know this person quite well. So there's an even balance of things that you do know about them and things you don't know about them. Okay, more hands for that one. And then put your hands up if you really don't know much about this good friend that you have. Good, wonderful, okay. So for this next question, I don't want to have a raise of hands, but it's just for you to think about. And the question is how well do you know yourself? And so are you someone who is completely honest with yourself all the time? And so therefore you're able to be honest with those around you? Or are you someone who hides things about yourself in fear that others may, of what others may think of them? So if this person knew this thing about me, or they won't talk to me anymore. Because often that is what we do. Often we hide ourselves. We're never 100% honest with ourselves. Because if we do, we're like, oh, if I'm honest with myself and then I'm honest with people and they know this about me, they're not going to want to know me anymore. They're going to walk away from me because this thing that I'm hiding is going to be too much for them to handle, and they're just going to disassociate themselves from me. And so this is what we find happening here with the Samaritan woman, at the story at the well. So she does some really bad things. In the Bible it says, where Jesus talks to her, he says, yes, the person that you're living with is not your husband. In fact, you've had 5 husbands. So in her culture, that would have been a really shameful thing. The culture at the time would have been an honor and shame culture. And so therefore, the women at the well, they didn't want to be near her. They didn't want to be next to her. They didn't want to know anything about her because of what she was doing. And yet, despite that shame, and despite that feeling that she had inside her, where she was hiding, she couldn't be with the other women for protection. So that's why she went out in the middle of the day when it was at its hottest, whereas the other women would have gone when it was cooler. Jesus came and met her. He was there at the well. He knew she was going to be at the well. And he was, yes, I'm going to start moving, by the way. So he met her at the well. He knew she was going to be there. And you see, that's what he does, is that he came to her. Yes, she had to go to the well, but that's where he knew he was going to be. Because what our Jesus does is that he can't help himself but to come where we're at, you see. So he came to the well. He knew that's where she was going to be. And he didn't come with a pointing finger. He came with a question, or a statement, as it was kind of put forward. But he said, could I have some water, please? Or could I have some water? And so he came in at her level. He came in at the place that she was at. And the place that she was at was wanting water. So he didn't come in with her with a pointing finger and go, oh, I know about you. I know what you've been doing. Naughty, naughty. He didn't do that at all. He did not come with a pointing finger. He didn't come with conviction. He came with a question. He came to her where she was at and said, could I have some water? And they started talking about water. And only as they got discussing and only as they got speaking to each other did she then start to ask questions, at which point he revealed who she was to. Yeah? So in that moment, after she was asking him questions, he said to her, he said, I will tell you who I am, but go get your husband. And he told her all about herself. So there was no hiding, because the thing is that we can't hide from Jesus. Jesus knows every single thing about us. If we think we can hide it, guess what? Jesus has already seen it. He already knows about it. And yet, despite the way that she was living, despite how she has lived, Jesus still came to her and said, my good news is still for you. I don't care how you're living. I don't care what you did. I care about you. Because I'm here to see you. I've come to where you are. And in the same way, it's a reflection, because God came down as Jesus. And so Jesus reflects that, because God goes, you know what, I really love you, and so I'm going to come down and see you. And we see that mirrored here in that lovely story with the woman at the well, with Jesus coming in the same way that God came down. And so there is nothing that he doesn't know. And so that the thing that you might be worried about, or about others finding out about yourself, Jesus already knows it. And how does he know it? Because he is the only one who knows us completely. He is the one who can see through all of our barriers, our walls, everything that we try and keep hidden. He sees completely through it. And just like the women at the well, he came to free us from that guilt, from that shame, which we carry with us, that we either carry knowingly or we carry subconsciously. And as he says, my good news is for everyone who is willing to hear it. So if you're willing to hear my good news, it's for you. And so when we encounter Jesus, we should be moved, like the woman at the well was. As soon as she encountered Jesus, and he basically set her free from that guilt, from that shame, what did she do? She ran to someone. Thank you. That was the audience participation. That was lovely. So what did she do? She ran to tell others. She ran back into the village. As she went, guys, you'll never believe it. There's this man who knows everything about me. He's told me everything that I've ever done in my life. Good, bad, ugly, all of it. He knows it. And guess what? He says he's the Messiah. He says that he loves me. He says he wants to get to know me. He says that he accepts me. And he also wants, and he's freed me from all of this. And you all need to come and see this. Now, she lived in a village, right? So there was no social media at the time. So she would have had to have gone onto every door, knocking, banging, and just shouting it, screaming it, till everyone from that village came out to see what was going on. Because she could not contain this knowledge. She could not contain this love that she's just experienced. And in that moment, she found faith. And although our faith is personal, it should never be a private thing. So if you ever hear anyone say, oh, my faith is private, it's never private, because Jesus says, I haven't come to give you a private faith. He says, I've come to give you a personal faith, but I've also come to give you it so that you can share it. And so if we know Jesus, why are we not talking about him to other people we know? And in the Bible, it says, for the time is coming, indeed here and now, when true worshippers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth. So that bit about worshipping in spirit and truth, it simply means is the attitude of our hearts. Is it in the right place? And when we trust Christ, when we worship him in his truth, he removes our burden or our guilt, as he did with the woman at the well. And then he replaces it with love, his acceptance, his forgiveness, and frees us from the guilt, as he did, as we saw. And then she was then moved to tell others in our parish about Jesus, and they come to know Jesus. I mean, how amazing is that? Nick, how many people do we have in our parish, do you know? Top of your head.
5,000 plus.
So 5,000 plus people. Oh, we could feed them, couldn't we? There you go. That's a good one. It's a story for a different time. But so we have 5,000 plus people. Okay, how amazing would it be for our whole parish to know Jesus, to encounter Jesus, to know the love that he has for them, the love that he has for us, the acceptance he has, and the freedom in which he gives. Because she wasn't free. She wasn't living. She was existing. And Jesus said, I've come to take all of that and give you life. And that's what he does with us. Because when we're burdened down with this guilt, this shame, this doubt, whatever it may be, we're not living. And actually we're dying. And he says, I'm going to take all of that. I'm going to take all of that. And so that you can have free life. So that you can go and share and talk and spread this good news. This burden that's been lifted off you. Guess what? There are other people who can also experience that. But you've got to go out and tell them. And so as I come to close, and the band kind of prepares themselves, there is a passage from a book that I would like to share with you, which captures what I've been saying about this story, but also the song that we're about to sing. The book is called Love by Johnny Gumbel. It's a very nice book. Any good book retailer will have them. But it says, God's grace makes it safe to recognize our brokenness. For neither our past mistakes nor our present struggles are obstacles to God loving us. The hymn Amazing Grace begins, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. The amazing grace of God enables us to see our own wretchedness or brokenness, for we are loved even in the brokenness. Because that's what she was broken. And Jesus said, you know what? I love you even in that state. I don't care. You don't have to be fully fixed because guess what? That's what I do. But all you have to do is hear me and accept my word, accept my truth. And I accept you in your brokenness. And I take that and I heal you and I mend you. So Jesus knows you completely. There is nothing you can do that you have done that he will not and does not already know about. And he meets you where you are at. So in the same way, when we come to share Jesus with people, where are they at? Don't go in straight away with going, Jesus loves you! Because that's also not necessarily helpful. But sometimes just to go with them and sit with them where they're at. Sit with them in their hurt, their pain, whatever it might be. Meet them where they are at. And then he wants you to know him and experience the love that he has for you. And when we then know Jesus, when we encounter him, we should be moved to tell others about him. And so as we sing the next song, which is called Broken Vessels, Amazing Grace, you can stay seated if you wish, or you can stand up. But this song is a really powerful song. It's a really moving song. So at the point that you feel that, stand up. If you feel moved, stand up. And even if you don't feel moved and you want to make it your own, stand up. Because sometimes our feelings can kind of get in the way and be like, I don't really feel this. But there might be a part of you that says, I don't feel this, but I want to know this. And so that's when you can stand. So stand when that moment is right. So I'll pass over to the band. But amen. Thank you.